Engineered to handle the most demanding networks, ultimate power, uncompromised speed. Meet the Linksys WRT 1900 AC.
Hello everyone, this is Dmitry with HyroCanucks, and today we're going to take a look at an extremely powerful gaming notebook from MSI featuring Nvidia's latest Maxwell GPU. This is a GE70 from their Apache series, and like with any notebook in this class, price is determined per configuration. The base model starts at $1,300, and that's actually pretty affordable considering the hardware packed inside this machine. So let's take a look. What we have here is a Core i7 at 3.4 GHz at turbo mode, 12 gigs of RAM, Nvidia GTX 860M with 2 GB of VRAM, and Windows 8.1 on a painfully slow 1 TB mechanical drive that is the sole bottleneck for this powerhouse. The GE70 is a 17-inch notebook, 17.3 to be exact, with a 1080p display and an integrated HD webcam. This is an LED backlit panel with very good side-to-side viewing, but contrast suffers significantly with vertical angle adjustment. It's a non-glare display and does open up at an acceptable wide angle. The screen is bright and also vibrant, and I love the amount of real estate you get with the 17 inches. The notebook for this size is actually surprisingly light at 3 kilograms and at only 1.6 inches thick, so it's quite portable for this form factor. And also take a look at the size of the power brick. It's very small for a gaming notebook, so I'm really happy about that. Aesthetically, the GE70 carries the standard boring MSI notebook feel. Nothing has changed within their Apache series much, with the brushed aluminum body throughout, so expect to have a fingerprint covered shell the moment you lay your hands on this thing. The logo does illuminate in a subtle white glow. It's very nice. And aside from the keyboard, there are no additional lighting with the GE70. The brushed aluminum also found its way into the internal frame with the glossy accents surrounding the keyboard, and while that looks great, this is absolutely not a place for black brushed aluminum. This is a shot after 10 minutes of me using the keyboard, and I certainly don't want to constantly wipe the surface, and I really dislike this material choice here. The trackpad is also slightly grainy, making smooth navigation almost impossible, and quite frankly a real pain after 15 minutes of use, as it picks up the oils from your fingers. The left and right click are also very hard to press, requiring a lot of force, and many times it would register the left click when just tracking on the surface, or get stuck with the continuous left click without me even touching the trackpad, so I'm not very impressed. On a better note though, all of the notifications and activity LEDs are located right where they should be, below the trackpad. Now moving on to the keyboard, it is designed by SteelSeries with great tactile response and quick bounce, and the keys are actually slightly heavier than my MX Cherry Red switches. Also, the keyboard does exhibit a lot of flex, so I wish there was a bit more solid support underneath. There are 3 color zones that you can play around with multiple color modes, like this music mode that changes color based on music playback. It's quite fun. The game mode that only illuminates the left portion with a fade on the right, and many others that could personalize your experience. The keys are curved as well, and the height of the notebook was not a problem at all for either typing or gaming, obviously. However, the main heat pockets with the G70 are on the side where the exhaust is on the left, with the entire left side getting noticeably warm, along with the area underneath the spacebar. So my left hand was constantly sweating, and thus leaving that nasty mark on the surface. While the temperatures were not an issue with the CPU and the GPU hitting around the 90-degree mark, it was still fully stable, but there's no other exhaust on the other side or the back. This leaves a lot of heat concentrated on the spot where you don't want it the most, on your left side. As for connectivity, on the left we have an SD card slot, audio jacks with 2 USB 3 ports, and HDMI 1.4, so it's fully capable of 4K output at 60 Hz, but they are all sort of kind of crammed into this one spot, populating all of which may cause clearance issues, and this should not have been overlooked and spaced out a little more. Then there's a side ventilation that we've taken a look before, power plug, and the Kensington lock. On the other side we have a USB 2 port, optical drive that's rather loose when it's out. It's not a big deal, but I thought I'd mention it. There's a high power USB port for charging and powering power hungry USB devices. VGA output, and also a gigabit Ethernet. The GE70 does feature AC wireless as well, so network performance was always top notch. One thing I'm impressed with are the speakers. These are from Dyna Audio, and I'm very happy with the sound quality and the placement. They are located right beneath the panel, providing excellent directional stereo audio with red lining underneath the frame that looks pretty exceptional. Very small subwoofers are also located at the bottom for a little bit extra bass response. They don't exactly rumble or vibrate the machine, but instead provide a full range like sound. Now let's finally take a listen at how loud this laptop is. Hey, this is Dmitry with HyperCanucks, and today we're checking out a wireless solution for your gaming needs. And I'm gonna say this would be a truly cross-platform audio solution between consoles, PCs, Macs, or any other device that outputs audio. Taking a look at the bottom, one thing that really bothered me was the non-warranty friendly user upgrade. The belly of the notebook is removable with a few screws to get your RAM and drive slots. However, the last screw is covered in the warranty void if altered sticker. And in a market where these types of upgrades are very common, MSI should allow users to upgrade that painfully slow terabyte drive and perhaps reconsider their warranty policy. Next is the noise test that complements what I just said about upgrading that terabyte mechanical drive, as you can hear the drive spinning. It's very annoying, especially when this happens all the time, even when on idle. The fan is audible and can get actually pretty loud when gaming. There's even a dedicated fan speed boost button that helps with cooling, but it sure isn't quiet. And beside it is a color switch button for the keyboard to quickly cycle through the color options. Now let's talk performance numbers, and being gaming oriented, battery life is very important. The GE70 does come with a removable 44 mAh battery that recharges to 100% while powered off in just 2 hours. As for gaming time, I got 42 minutes with Metro Last Light benchmark on a loop on battery, and since this also features Nvidia's battery boost technology that basically works to manage resources that are needed for a specific frame target, so it will adjust frequencies and voltages of your components. I got extra 5 minutes of gameplay with a 30 FPS target, while 1 minute less with battery boost at 50 FPS. So gaming on battery in this sort of worst case scenario still looks pretty disappointing. The GE70 does underclock both the CPU and the GPU quite heavily while on battery, resulting in less impressive results, requiring you to play at 720p for decent frame rates. The CPU frequency drops from 3.4 GHz plugged in to 1.3 GHz on battery, while the GPU drops from about 1 GHz mark to about 650 MHz. So in Crysis 3 at 720p on medium, we get an average of 41 FPS. Metro Last Light and 720p on medium, we get about 40, and Assassin's Creed 4 at 31 FPS. And also to demonstrate the performance drop while on battery, 3D Mark scored 2812, while plugged in we had a score of 4934. This is a 43% performance drop while on battery. However, when plugged in, playing the latest AAA titles maxed out yields some wow performance for the price and form factor. Call of Duty Ghosts averaging at 56 FPS with full AA, Bioshock Infinite at 60 FPS easy, Metro Last Light is very demanding, maxed out at 35 FPS, Assassin's Creed 4 at over 30 frames a second, which is nice, Crysis 3 drops anything to its knees fully maxed out, so 22 FPS isn't particularly surprising, and Battlefield 4 in Ultra preset averaging at 37 FPS. Of course, maxed out gaming performance is important for sort of comparative analysis, but in reality it does come down to playable settings with each system. So optimizing the game through GeForce Experience is both very simple and yields very satisfying frame rates at 1080p and high settings. Now I know it's been a long one here, but let's quickly recap. The GE70 is light and thin for its form factor with a very small power brick. SteelSeries keyboard is excellent in terms of feedback and backlight as well. The display is vibrant, although it's not an IPS. Dynaudio speakers are very satisfactory, and the GE70 features the latest Maxwell Nvidia GPU that yields very capable gaming results on pretty much maxed out settings, and at $1,300 this is very impressive. However, regardless of how attractive this price point may be, there are so many small details that have been overlooked, like the all aluminum casing inside that leaves your machine looking terrible after use. The trackpad is both difficult to press and lacks smooth tracking, making navigation in Windows a true patience test. All of the ports on the left side are way too close together and might introduce clearance issues, plus only one exhaust on the left gets quite loud and heats up the entire left side of the notebook, causing unavoidable hand sweat. User upgrades for the drives and memory are also locked up with a warranty sticker, making the painfully slow 1TB drive a real bottleneck for Windows tasks if you're used to working off speedy SSDs. And lastly, the performance on battery is both disappointing in temporal scales, squeezing out about 45 minutes of gaming, and a significant drop in performance that would not make me want to game while on the go. And before we conclude, make sure to watch our Maxwell overview video outlining all the features and many other things that we haven't really touched up in this video. But taking the GE70 for what it is at $1,300, how do you feel about the sort of the overall package? Leave your comment down below, let us know how you feel. Make sure to subscribe and like if you want to see more gaming notebook reviews. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.